The first thing I'm going to do is take you on a tour of my new/old 1947 Kettenburg PC32. Something on the top sides here is leaking and rainwater is getting in. I've got an interview with John Getz, is the guy that I bought the boat from. You'll probably recognize him from some of the films and TV shows that he's done.
I had to go see the guy in charge of the fleet here. I had to be vetted by him,
Right.
in order to be allowed to buy the boat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They didn't want boats taken out of the racing fleet.
Oh, really?
So they didn't want somebody to buy the boat and then play with it. They wanted somebody who was really going to use it and who was going to race.
Welcome to episode 2. I am so excited to get to share all of this with you. If you're enjoying these, it would be really helpful to me to do a couple of things. First, do a like and subscribe because it's going to help me with this channel. And secondly, if you have any information on Kettenburgs, I would love to hear about it. Either if you own one or you know someone who owns those, if you know where one is, we would love to be able to build a current record of where these boats are and who has them. I want to take this thing on the road and meet up with everyone that I can who has Kettenburgs, who spent some time sailing with them, and get their input on what they think of sailing these classic vessels. Last episode, I had a boat that I was looking at and it was not in good shape. Turns out that that boat was since purchased for a lot less than what they were asking and has been brought up to Portland and is on the hard up there getting the hull refitted. So I'm really excited to hear that. At Tim 8K, thank you so much for making that comment and letting us know where that boat is. Every one of these boats that we can try to save is a piece of history that can get passed down to the next generation. And to me, that is the most exciting part of getting a chance to work on these classic wooden boats. The first thing I'm going to do is take you on a tour of my new/old 1947 Kettenburg PC32. I am so excited to have this boat. I have been waiting for years to find something like this, and I am thrilled. It's the perfect size to start working on at 32 feet. It's not terribly long. It's something that I'm going to be able to control the costs a little bit better on and not feel like it's overwhelming. Compared to the 40 that I was looking at before, I think this is a much better boat for me to start with. Plus, the lines on it are amazing. I love the look. I love the feel of this boat. I think it's going to be perfect. So while the boat is in good shape overall, the hull is in good shape, which was most important, there's still a lot of work to be done on the exterior of the boat. I am needing to find out where some of the leaks are coming from, so I've been searching the boat. Something on the top sides here is leaking and rainwater is getting in, a fair amount of it is. So I am replacing some of the hatches. The one in the stern, unfortunately, is attached to a stay. So what this is going to a rig that is set up to be able to pull and create more or less tension on the mast through the backstay. Now, this can help increase speed for the boat. This pulley runs up to the cockpit, which is great, but the problem we have is it's going right through this vent, which means I can't replace it without undoing the rigging or breaking it. I could do a cut here and put a cut on the other one, and if I had to, we could do that. It feels like it's fairly sealed up around the exterior, so I don't know that doing any of that's going to help. It's mainly this interior seal here that has basically just become tar and is worthless. I've replaced the first one. The seal from the old one was in pretty bad shape, and now I'm working on the next one back, which was a larger hatch. This one came off way too easily. The seals are pretty bad on it. Going to replace it with a brand new one I have right here. This guy's going on. Should seal this up pretty nicely, and hopefully with the rains that are coming in a couple of days, that we won't have any more ingress of water down into the ship. And I'm still needing to work on the electrical, so I don't have working backup pumps at the moment, and I'm gonna have to get those put in here shortly. So we've applied a decent amount of silicone sealant around the edge here and onto the new hatch, and we're gonna get this guy into place. Hatch in place. Bam. I have found this Leatherman tool has been extremely helpful on the boat. It seems that I can do an enormous amount of the work that I need to do on the boat with this one tool. And we've got 2 new hatches in. Bam. There we go. New hatch. All right, time to clean that up. First project accomplished here on my Kettenburg PC32. 2 brand new hatches. They are sealed up a whole lot better than the old ones. Hopefully that will help keep the water out. And if not, then we'll find what else is going on. There's still a lot of deck work that I've got to do. There's some other places where it's sneaking in. We got a lot of rain coming in next week, and hopefully this will take care of it. But man, I am excited to see this. This is first project completed here on the new boat, and super excited to share this with you guys.
Retirement community.
Hello, John.
Hey, Matt.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. There'll be lots of buzz about it, I hope, when it comes out. You know.
How are things?
Okay.
It's good to see you. I'm glad to hear that you're busy, because it has not been pretty for a little while. But
lucky.
But that, on the other hand,
Really lovely.
isn't it nice? So you had another one of these.
I was trying to remember which hull number it was, but in like 94 maybe. I'd been out sailing my old Pearson one day during the Cal Cup here, and somebody sailed by in one of the PCs. We had, there was a fleet of them here in A Basin.
Yep.
My friend, who was not much of a sailor, said, "Oh God, wouldn't it be fun to get one of these?" And he was an enthusiast. I looked around and found that there was one for sale in San Diego. Either hull number 49 or 50. It's called Cirrus, C-I-R-R-U-S, Cirrus. It was a Greek doctor who had the boat. I found this out through the fleet here, and I had to go see the guy in charge of the fleet here. So I had to be vetted by him,
Right.
in order to be allowed to buy the boat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because they wanted to make sure that, I think it may have been Mike who had bought a couple of these
Okay.
and had he was the first one to spline these boats.
Yeah.
And I think he had taken this out and he wasn't racing it. And they didn't want boats taken out of the racing fleet.
Oh, really?
So they didn't want somebody to buy the boat and then play with it. They wanted somebody who was really going to use it and who was going to race. So we went down. I didn't have a survey done, nothing. It was like, okay. Went down, looked at the boat, came back, got our shit. There was a bracket that hung off over the transom to put an outboard on.
Right.
The removable bracket. I had
Right.
this old 3-horse Johnson that I'd had since I was 9 years old. In 1955, I took that down with me, can of gas, because it was you had to pour stuff in the top.
Right.
We put all our crap on the boat and sailed out of Mission Bay on our way up here. It was only as we were leaving Mission Bay that I realized that the stern quarter was like a colander. You could see light through all the seams back there.
Oh, no.
So water was starting to come in. And we thought, well, there's a little motorcycle battery and a bilge pump in it.
Right.
We thought, well, this will be okay. It became plain. We sailed from there to Dana Point, and then Dana Point up here. We had to power some of the time, and with that outboard motor all the way aft, hanging off the transom,
Right.
the boat would rock in the seas, and the motor would lift all the way out some
Oh,
of
my
the time.
God.
So it was not entirely efficient. When we got to Dana Point, we'd already been pumping and bailing a bit. We went in and bought another motorcycle battery and a bigger bilgemate
Right.
pump, and sailed it all the way up here. And going through Hurricane Gulch down off Alameda's, Long Beach.
Yeah.
The wind really started piping up. The floorboards were floating a bit in there, and so we really couldn't rest. One of us had to be bailing or pumping,
Right.
and the other sailing the boat. I mean, we're lucky we didn't sink or drown or something. But we made it up here.
Yeah.
And then we hauled it out. I recaulked it myself, which
Yeah.
shouldn't have done because
Right.
it wasn't entirely effective.
Right.
Redid the bottom, hauled it out at windward, and then raced it a bit. But we were both. He was an actor and
Yeah.
a producer, and we were both working a fair amount, and so we didn't. But it was a great fleet. It was a bunch
Yeah.
of really good sailors,
Yeah.
good old sailors, a lot of them, but also young. There was a woman, Lisa, I can't remember her last name again, who kind of became the fleet head. I sailed a couple of times with a guy named Ralph DeLuca, who had grown up here going to engineering school and the like, and started sailing out of the old Santa Monica Yacht Harbor when it existed, sailing on dragons that they had there, and back in the Bogart days and stuff when he
Right.
was a young man.
Wow.
He eventually sold his boat and got a Cal 20. But it was a very active fleet.
Yeah.
People had updated the running rigging enough so that they could race them and sail them. And my kids loved going out on the boat, partly because, it's as opposed to my 36-foot boat, the high freeboard, you really feel like you're down in the water.
really do.
And it's you really feel a lot closer to things, and then there's just the sound of
Wood
Water.
and water is
Yeah.
so much different than hearing
Yeah.
the fiberglass or plastic or whatever else. It's just a completely different feel.
and a boat that was built for these waters.
Right.
I mean, they really, I said to you earlier, they just they move in this long swell. Waterline stretches out a bit as you go over, but they firm up. They're not you don't lose control of them.
Right.
It's a great rig, and this the full keel and all.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
They track really beautifully. When I took this down to King Harbor, and my then 12-year-old granddaughter at the time, 13-year-old, was sailing the boat.
Yeah.
She had no trouble,
Yeah.
keeping the boat going, keeping it going in the direction. And in fact, when we got down there, and sailed back into to King Harbor Marine, I just gave her the helm, and I was up dropping sails and stuff, and she just brought us right in, and the boat just drifted up to the dock and almost stopped perfectly. It's just
They just can turn on the dime.
Yeah.
They just really
yeah.
move
Well, I said
nicely.
we had when we had the fleet here, we had 2 boats to a slip, which meant that you had about that much room either side, and sailing in and out of the slips. You came in, shoved the tiller over, the boat rounded up, and it just slowed itself down and just came in. And you might come in at some speed,
Right.
but you could aim it well and just step off and stop.
Well, one thing that I noticed in going down to the boat show was seeing all the different styles and things people had done to them, either when they were making them or after they were made, to make adjustments on the racing style. Some of the guys who had run all the rigging in through the interior,
Right.
which the one guy that I met that had done that said wished he hadn't, because it did nothing but water would wick into the boat constantly.
Yeah.
Every time it rained, the boat was full of water.
Right.
So, but it was really interesting to see the different designs, the cabin designs, the exteriors, the way every little piece of it was
Well,
different.
the story was that this was post-war,
Right.
and there was a head in there.
Yes.
And the reason for that was to try and sell the boats to women,
Oh.
not
Yeah.
women skippers, the
Right.
wives of the men who were going to buy the boat.
Because they're not going to go out with him.
The idea that you could cruise the boat over to Cali, you had a toilet,
Right.
you had a place to put a camp stove and stuff, but the toilet was a big thing.
When did you get rid of the other one that you had?
Oh, a few years later. I mean,
Okay.
it became plain that my partner didn't have the time to really be a partner, and
Right.
my old Pearson in B basin and the PC in A basin. So whichever boat I was on, I was feeling guilty about not paying enough attention to the other one.
Right.
And then I was getting divorced, and there was all this crap going on. And my partner moved back to the Northeast. His wife had it living there. So suddenly the boat was all mine.
Right.
And I didn't have a regular crew to race it.
Yeah.
So I sold it. And I can't remember who I sold it to. It was.
Do you know if it's still around? Did it?
I think it's back down in San Diego.
Okay.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's up here.
You said that you think that was hole 50?
I think it was 50.
Okay.
49 or 50. I'd have
Yeah.
to look through the list of owners and see if I
Right.
could figure out.
Which isn't updated any longer. I found that list online, and I haven't seen one getting updated. I don't know if they died or just stopped working on it or what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it is now.
Hmm.
And it was sad because this fleet just kind of went, you know.
Yeah, there's just nothing left of it. There's only, I think there's maybe one or two other Kettenburgs up here, and they're not 32s. I think there's one or two up in Washington and Puget Sound area. I think there's one down in Hawaii. There's one or two out in the East Coast, and the rest are down in San Diego. So there's very few. I mean, if Wooden Boat Magazine's right, and there's only 18/19 of them left on the water, then yeah. Okay. That is a decent amount of water, and I got a feeling it's all coming in from the transom.